Hey, so are you struggling with procrastination? You know you gotta take action, you gotta make the calls, you gotta go see people, you gotta advance your career. There's certain steps you need to do in order to make that happen, but you're not doing it. So you have this feeling like you're lazy, you're frustrated with yourself. Stick around because in this video, I'm gonna prove to you it has nothing to do with laziness. And I'm gonna show you the hidden blocks that are preventing you from taking that massive action that you want to, that'll move your life forward. Let's go. And we're gonna get into it in just a second. Before we do, I just wanna let you know this is what I do. Removing those hidden blocks is what I've dedicated my life's work to. So if you need help and support, I'm gonna put a link below the video to speak with me directly. And I'd love to support you with taking this massive action that's gonna move your life forward. All right, so let's get into this video here. So this book here, Habits. Okay, you gotta build up your habits and you gotta make better decisions and choices like you see in all these personal development channels. Has nothing to do with that. I want you to take this book, I want you to set it aside, okay? It's not gonna be helpful to you with what you are dealing with when it comes to procrastination. So a lot of the time what you'll see on these personal development channels, they'll say it's all about decision making and choices. 100%, it all comes down to decisions and choices. But there's something more important than decisions and choices. There's something that drives all of your decisions and choices. So if you're continuing to make decisions and choices that make you procrastinate, and you know exactly what to do, but yet again, you make these decisions and choices and you head in the direction of procrastination, you do not have a decision-making problem. You do not have a choice problem. You don't have a habits problem. You have an awareness problem. We have to raise your level of consciousness. We have to make you more aware of what's driving your decisions and your choices. What's driving that procrastination. Once you're more aware of that, then you can make more empowering decisions and choices. And it really comes down to four main fears. Because fear is the underlying emotion. It's the underlying kryptonite that's driving you into procrastination. And I want to show you this diagram here. Because there's four main fears that we need to take a look at that your procrastination will be linked to each and every single time. Now, we want to move towards action. And just a heads up though, every single human being is avoidant by nature. It's not just you. Every single human being is avoidant by nature. And over the years in my mentorship program, I've really narrowed it down to these core fears here. So let's say, for example, it could be a simple phone call to somebody. It could be a job promotion that you're procrastinating on. You're not taking action on it. And always the number one fear that comes up, which prevents you from taking action. You know you got to do it, but there's this block. And what is the block? The block is fear. I'm just going to write this down real quick here. This is all fear, okay? So this is all fear. The first and foremost, this is going to be the most predominant one for you, is you fear that you're defective in some way. You fear that you're fundamentally flawed. There's just something wrong with you. And maybe if I go after that job promotion, they're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get exposed. Okay? So fear that you're defective, that you're fundamentally flawed in some way. The next one, the next major fear that always surfaces is the fear of pressure or being overwhelmed by all the pressure and responsibility. I'm gonna go after that job promotion, but what if I get the promotion, for example, and all my physical symptoms start to take over? Blank mind, racing heart, can't breathe, humiliation and embarrassment, and I just fold under the pressure. I'm gonna break essentially from all the pressure and responsibility. That's the next thing. The other one is a fear of people. You might go and you might have these big dreams and goals, but going after them, it means leaving certain people behind. Or being all alone, the fear of being all alone. I'm gonna be abandoned, I'm gonna be all alone, I'm gonna have to leave people behind. The other thing is I'm gonna get rejected and humiliated by people, get attacked by people. That's a really big one. Let's say, for example, I wanna be more expressive, I wanna be more confident, but I'm gonna keep myself small because if I do that, this friend or family member over here is gonna start attacking me and try to bring me down to size again. The other one, the last one here is needs. Fear of having any sort of need. So for example, I need to go after this thing, but I don't want to bother anybody. It feels like I'm being a burden to other people, and it doesn't feel comfortable taking up space in the world. Fear of having needs. And the other side of the coin is, even if I go after the goals and I achieve everything, no one cares. No one's gonna care anyway. I'm not even important. I'm not worthy. Who cares even if after I go for it? It's hopeless. Big deal even if I go for those goals. Now, it's very important for you to understand, okay? Your subconscious mind is already aware of this. As soon as you get the email that you're being sought out maybe for a possible promotion, more responsibility at work, for example. Maybe you get an invite to go out with your friends. Your subconscious mind knows this. Your body is aware that this is going on well before that your mind even catches on. You're probably not even aware, because if you were aware of this, you wouldn't be calling yourself lazy, okay? So that's something to be aware of. If you're procrastinating on something, there's always something going on underneath the surface. Remember what I said before. If you know exactly what you need to do, the actions are clear, and you're still not doing it, remember, it's an awareness problem. You got to raise your consciousness and be aware, more aware of what's going on underneath the surface. And if this is making sense, you realize I'm not lazy. It's just the overwhelming fear of ending up alone, the abandonment, being humiliated, being rejected, the imposter syndrome, like there's something wrong with me, I'm gonna be found out, okay? Or I don't even deserve to take up more space, I'm not important. If this is making sense to you, let us know in the comments, because I know the personal development world out there, it can be very shaming, it can be very hard on you because it lacks awareness. So if this is raising your awareness, let us know in the comments. Let's talk about it. Okay, and so how do you shift from avoidance into action? And again, it's never going to be 100% perfect, but you want to make sure that the majority of your energy, the majority of what you are doing is in action. You don't want to be living a life of avoidance. Now, the thing is, remember, us humans, we're always avoidant by nature. We're always going to have, in the psychology world, they call it a negativity bias, where we're always wired for negative thinking. We're always wired for fear, doubt, worry. And we have to use our willpower. We have to use our willingness. We have to use determination to move in the direction of action. But you have this big monster here in the middle. And so what you want to do is what we call, you want to work with your pain threshold. So I'm going to write this down here, your pain threshold. Because if you try to do what you're doing right now and you're trying to just take the action and go through the motions and you're leaving this intact, it's going to end up in actual pain. The physical symptoms, the ruminating thoughts, the worry, the doubt, the panic, the imposter syndrome, the beating up on yourself after, the feeling exhausted and drained, that is painful. It's an absolutely exhausting experience. It's gonna feel like you have a 100-pound ball and chain walking around with you, and you actually do. So how do you lower this pain threshold? And I'm going to give you an example of one of our students that worked his process to lower that pain threshold so he could stop living in avoidance and actually participate more in his life. Okay, so when we first started working together, he was suffering from the blushing and he had the physical symptoms. His mind kept blanking out. He couldn't breathe, full on panicking inside. Every time he would try to talk to people. And think about that. He wanted to, he was working, he wanted to move up in his job. But think about it. How are you going to do that when you have such a fear of pressure and being overwhelmed by it, because you know your symptoms are going to get the best of you? It's going to end up in humiliation, embarrassment. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm not going to be able to handle all the pressure. And so we started working specifically his past experiences, being criticized, humiliated by his dad, and having panic attacks at school in front of his friends because he didn't have anybody to talk to about it, and at home, and things were building up and building up. So you could see the fear of pressure, fear of being overwhelmed by it. It was living within him, okay? But when he was able to resolve that, suddenly this isn't as big. The fear of pressure and being overwhelmed by pressure, it's not so big. Also, the defectiveness, the constant comparisons when he was young to other kids and by his dad, you know, why can't you be like them? And what's wrong with you? Something wrong with you? Shaming him, this feeling like he's completely defective, the bullying that he went through, and he got ostracized from his friend group, and it led to all this shame, like there's something wrong with me, nobody likes me, there's something defective about me. And look at this, when he's able to heal, because this is always from the past, okay? But when he's able to heal from this, look at this. Suddenly, this big ball of pain, this bubble of fear, it's not so big anymore. And there's more room, there's less resistance to move towards action. The action just feels way more natural and way more effortless. And suddenly he's finding this steady calmness within him. He's finding his confidence. And at his job, people are starting to notice. And you will notice this yourself. There comes a point in your transformation where you're leveling up and you're healing so many things that the outside world is giving you feedback. It's noticing differences in you. It's noticing differences in your confidence levels, in the way you carry and conduct yourself. And he started being sought out for a promotion. And what did he do? Is he avoided it. He's like, no, I can't. I'm not ready. You know, what if the symptoms come back? You know, what if they imposter syndrome? What if they catch on to me and they realize there's something wrong with me? So just for simplicity's sake, I erased it, but let's say it's there, it's reduced, but it's not fully gone. And I don't know if it ever fully goes away. It just gets to the point where it just doesn't control your life. It's there, but it has zero control over you, right? So he's thinking, he's on the coaching call. He's like, no, I'm not going to apply. I said, yeah, it's okay. So you don't feel ready? Because I knew there would be other opportunities. Remember, the universe is a big energy field. It just reflects back what you are. And so I knew there would be more opportunities. I knew people would be seeking him out. Of course, he's got so much to offer, so many gifts. He's doing some good work. It's just a matter of time before it happens again. And so his manager approaches him again a few weeks later, and he says, you know what? We haven't filled the position. Why didn't you apply? We wanted you to apply. And he said, he makes some excuse. And he goes, well, nobody applied for the position. It's open. We want you to apply. I want you to do an interview for this promotion. Okay? So he's kind of forced into it. He's forced into it. The universe is assisting him. It's giving him a nudge. It's saying, hey, level up. Let's go here. And so he does the interview. He gets the job, right? Because there's a little bit more space here to move and take action and kill it in the interview, for example. And then what comes up? He comes back on the coaching call a little while later, and I expect him to be excited. And he was excited, but he was just as worried. Fear of success was real, and it was like, oh man, I don't know why I went after this job. He's like, it's so stressful right now, and I just feel like I worked on my social anxiety. I had these good friends at work, and what was happening is this fear of people, fear of being all alone, ending up all alone, abandonment, and all these things started coming up. It's like, it's like now I don't even get to hang out with my buddies anymore. Now I'm in this manager position, and you can see the self-sabotage trying to come in and bring him back, pull him back. His ego is trying to pull him back into a life of avoidance. And I knew exactly what was going on. And we worked through it. We worked through his abandonment issues, his fear of ending up alone. And suddenly again, look at this. I'll draw this up for you again. Suddenly, the more we work on things, look how low, look how small that fear is, that ego, that pain threshold. It keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I remember he was getting into this drama at work and all this stuff, and I said, stay the path. This is all a distraction. This is all your ego trying to pull you back into a life of avoidance. You need to stay focused, and you need to stabilize, and we need to work with the different fears that are coming up. I promise you they will dissipate. A week later, he shows up, and I think it was maybe a week and a half. He shows up. I say, how's work going? And he goes, it's a job. And we start laughing, and he's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just something I do. I just go to work, and it's just something I do. It's nothing special. So look at that. It's like he went from the transformation he made was feeling like there's something wrong with him, fearing all the physical symptoms, the overwhelm. Man, one day I would love to just be one of those guys that can, get a management position, be in a leadership position. One day I could just, man, it's like this pie in the sky. One day I can be a leader. I can be like those friends that used to pick on me because I couldn't go approach girls because they said be more confident and they didn't understand it. It's like my mind's going blank, I'm blushing, I'm getting all these physical symptoms. Now I get to be this leader, but what's even more powerful is I get to be a leader, and it's no big deal. It's just what I do. It's just who I am. That's confidence. That's true confidence. So again, you're not lazy. Stop judging yourself and stop watching content that judges you for being lazy because you're not taking action and you're not making the right decisions and choices. You know the content I'm talking about, okay? What you are is you're unaware. You just have to raise your consciousness and be aware of the fear and the pain that's keeping you stuck in this life of avoidance and keeping you stuck in procrastination. And if it feels like you're trying to take action and it feels like that 100-pound ball and chain is around your ankle, you need help getting that 100-pound ball and chain down to maybe weighing 5 to 10 pounds, I have a program. So if you need support, book a call. I'd love to speak with you and guide you on your journey. This is the work I do. I don't help the normal guys. I don't help the guys who can just go approach the girls and they can go after the promotions and simply tell themselves to be more confident and it works. That doesn't work. I help the underdogs. I help people just like you. I help men who are highly ambitious yet selfless. And although they weren't set up for success, they're still heavily into self-development and reaching for that highest version of themselves, but they feel inexpressive. They feel highly anxious, self-conscious. They feel like they're people-pleasing when they're interacting with people, and they hate themselves for it. And I guide them to being expressive, confident, and assertive, and connecting with people authentically by reducing their anxiety levels and loving themselves for it, which is the most important work you will do in your entire life, because it allows you to be that self-assured man that you once admired. Just like our student. He doesn't have to admire his friends or other leaders. He is a leader. He has his confidence, and he can look in the mirror and be proud of who he is and feel confident that anything in life is possible. So if that sounds like you, I want to speak to you. Book that call below. Let's do some work. Let's break you out of that procrastination. Let's get your life moving forward. Let's get you taking massive action. Talk to you soon.